New Orleans had arguably the most famous American red light district in Storyville, but where did the term originate? Folklore about the term places the origin with the men who worked on the railroad. In the legend, they left their red lanterns outside when visiting brothels so they could be found in an emergency. But documentation indicates that red lights were used by sex workers centuries before trains were invented, and even centuries before Europeans arrived in New Orleans. According to the Encyclopedia of Word and Phrase Origins, quote, brothels once advertised their presence by burning electric lights covered with red shades or glass in their windows. This led to the Americanism red light district for an area known for its house of prostitution, the term first recorded in the late 19th century. Unquote. The first electric lights were created in the 1840s, so it seems very odd that they specified electric lights for the oldest profession. The New Orleans Storyville Museum has a much deeper history of the origin of red lights and their association with sex work, going all the way back to ancient Rome. Quote, the color red has long been associated with passion, desire, and sexuality. Its vibrant, attention-grabbing nature can evoke strong emotions. Its color makes the skin look smoother, hides sores and scars, and is easier to see at night. For these reasons, it's only natural that throughout history, sex workers have carried and marked their place of business with red lanterns. Unquote. Britannica explains that the association of red lights with sex work probably didn't originate with railroad workers leaving clues to their whereabouts in the 19th century. Historians point out it was just as likely that proprietors would use red lights as advertisement. The association of sex work with red lights is probably from sailors visiting Amsterdam's famous red light district since the 14th century, where women advertised their services by carrying a red light. The red light served a dual purpose by disguising blemishes also, like the Storyville Museum pointed out. According to the museum, the earliest evidence of sex workers using red lanterns was in a satirical poem by Juvenal. Archaeologists have also discovered ancient frescoes depicting brothel scenes with a red glow. Although I don't know if the red on ancient murals is because of sex work or just because it was the pigment they used, as red is so common in murals from the period that archaeologists call it Pompeian red. The term red light district didn't come into common parlance until much later, though. In a 2010 article for Stanford University entitled, Can You Tell Me How to Get to the Roman Brothel? Public Prominence of Prostitutes in the Roman World, Anise K. Strong explores how sex workers were identified in the first century and also points to Juvenal as a reference. Juvenal describes a soot-covered sex worker in one of his poems, and examples showing that lamps were used in ancient brothels. She argues that while lamps and water sources may be ways to identify brothels in the ancient world, the concept of a red light district did not exist in the first century. Brothels were located throughout prominent areas of the cities, not segregated to a specific district. The first mention I found in the newspaper archives of red light district was in 1893, 1 year before the purported first reference listed on Wikipedia. Both are referring to the district of Louisville. The first mentions in New Orleans that I found is around 1896. Wikipedia points out that the term was used at the National Women's Christian Temperance Union in Louisville in 1882, recorded in the minutes. The conference references make it clear that it was a well-known euphemism for neighborhoods with sex workers by this point. In the 1880s in New Orleans and other cities, the red light ordinance was about putting lights on debris blocking roadways. There are many mentions of violations of the red light ordinance and men who were charged with violating it. However, I did find a reference to the Red Light Dance House in Fort Worth as early as 1877 and a reference to a red light house in Detroit in 1868. Storyville was known as the district to those who lived through the era. The Tenderloin was also a common nickname for the neighborhood in New Orleans. That term probably originated in New York. It became known as Storyville to history, but none of the interviews I've read so far of first-hand accounts ever use Storyville. So where did the term red light district to refer to areas with sex workers originate? I don't think historians agree. The association of red lights with sex work is ancient, but the earliest mentions in the written record in the United States of red light houses or districts seem to be around the 1860s. The Wikipedia entry scoffs at the idea that the term is from the Amsterdam district, but doesn't provide a source for why the claim is spurious. It does point to a saloon in Dodge City, Kansas, the Red Light House Saloon, as the source for the term's common use. The source is a book called Inventing Wyatt Earp, His Life and Many Legends by Alan Barra. In the book, there is a note that says it is common knowledge in Dodge City that the term originated there. This sounds like so many legends from New Orleans, such as the term mafia originated here. I couldn't find any mention of a Red Light House Saloon in Dodge City in their newspaper, but I did find an article in the Dodge City newspaper about a red light lodging house in Helena, Montana from 1888. I can't prove or disprove that Red Light District didn't come from Dodge City. See the link in the description to find out if I prove that mafia came from New Orleans. Please like and subscribe for more tours and stories from the deep, coming soon.